Dirty dealings, corporate battles, consumer wars. This is Evening 5. Australia and New Zealand banking group believes Malaysia would be one of the most vulnerable Asian economies in a global trade war if Donald Trump comes to power again. A universal baseline import tariff of 10% on all US imports risks sparking a global trade war, ANZ said, warning that the impact would be greatest on the export-oriented and manufacturing-heavy economies of Malaysia, Taiwan, Vietnam, Thailand and South Korea. It said Malaysia, the Philippines and Taiwan could be vulnerable to shifts in the electronics integrated circuit supply chain. Malaysia hosts some of the world's largest electrical and electronics companies, ranging from Intel to Samsung. It is also the seventh largest semiconductor exporter with 7% of global market share and accounts for 13% of the global share of chip assembly, testing and packaging in the supply chain. Trump is going into the US election in November promising more prohibitive trade policies than those implemented during his previous term. In addition to the universal baseline import tariff of 10%, ANZ noted that Trump has also proposed a 60% tariff or more on all US imports from China, which is likely to cut into aggregate demand in both economies and put the global supply chain in disarray. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the government has decided to reopen the investigation into the custodial death of DAP political aide Teoh Beng Hock. Anwar met with his family members in Putrajaya today. He said he had a long conversation with Teoh's parents, Deng Xiu Hui and Teoh Leong Hui, who were present with the late aide's child, Teoh Chia, and sibling Teoh Li Lan. In a media statement, he said he listened to the family's grievances and requests and empathized with the prolonged fight for justice. Anwar said he has been closely following the case for a long time and promised that the new investigation would be conducted with transparency and fairness, free from any interference, and taking into account the Court of Appeal's findings with regards to the case on September 5, 2014. Teoh was found dead on the rooftop of a building adjacent to the Shah Alam MACC office at Plaza Masalam, a day after anti-graft officers took him in for questioning. In 2014, the appellate court had ruled that his death was caused by multiple injuries from a fall from the 14th floor of Plaza Masalam as a result of or which was accelerated by an unlawful act or acts of persons unknown, inclusive of MACC officers who were involved in the arrest and investigation of the deceased. Astro Malaysia Holdings has managed to get the additional tax claims imposed by the Inland Revenue Board against its two subsidiaries suspended until the hearing for leave of its judicial review, which has now been fixed on November 20th. The Shah Alam High Court granted the broadcaster's interim stay application today, with presiding judge Dato' Ahmad Kamal Muhammad Shahid ruling the sum sought was high. In judicial review proceedings, leave has to be gained first before the merits of a challenge is heard in order to ensure that the application is not frivolous or vexatious. The IRB had last month imposed additional taxes, including penalties for the years 2019 to 2023 for 734.88 million ringgit on Miasat Broadcast Network Systems and Astro Shaw. In response, Astro filed a judicial review application last month to quash the additional assessments, which is about half of its market capitalization of 1.46 billion ringgit. The satellite cable company said the notices for additional assessments were issued since production costs incurred during the said years of assessment were disallowed for deduction. The amended Money Services Business Act, enforced by Malaysia's central bank, is in force effective today. Bank Negara said in a statement today the amendments call for mandatory imprisonment for a term of up to 10 years and a minimum fine of 50,000 ringgit for illegal operators. It added that the changes also provide greater clarity on the offence of abetting illegal operators. The central bank now also has the authority to forfeit the property of an illegal operator upon prosecution to deter repeat offenders. The amendments, it said, strengthen its ability to take effective enforcement actions to serve as a strong deterrent against unauthorized activities that could expose customers to risks and undermine the integrity of the money services business industry. The Act governs the conduct and supervision of the money services business industry, comprising money changers, remittance service operators and currency wholesalers. The amendment was passed in the Dewan Rakyat in March and was gazetted in June following royal assent. UEM Group, a wholly owned infrastructure arm of sovereign wealth fund Khazanah Nasional, has confirmed the appointment of Dato' Amran Hafiz Afifuddin as its managing director effective immediately, replacing Dato' Muhammad Izani Ghani, who has stepped down to take the helm at airports operator MHB. Prior to this, Amran was the executive director and head of Malaysian investments at Khazanah. In a statement, UEM Group said Amran will hand over the role of chairman to Dato' Hisham Hamdan. Hisham, who joined Khazanah in April 2011, is currently its chief investments officer. He has served as chairman of Uda Holdings and a board member of Iskandar Investment and has over 30 years of experience across a variety of corporate structures under his belt. Khazanah MD Dato' Amirul Faizal Wan Zahir said Hisham's appointment as chairman signals the importance of UEM Group to the Sovereign Wealth Fund and executing its strategy of advancing Malaysia. Amirul Faizal said as CIO of Khazanah and chairman of UEM Group, Hisham will play a key role in ensuring seamless coordination between the two organizations. As for Amran, he is set to lead Khazanah's domestic investment agenda in the infrastructure space, spearheading UEM Group's growth and expansion in areas such as renewable energy.